Okay, so imagine this. A television, right? But instead of showing you, current shows or news, it could show you what already happened.
Mm.
Like, picture tuning into ancient Rome or maybe watching the pyramids being built, like, live.
As if you were actually there.
Exactly. That's the core idea behind something called the Chronovisor. It's a really captivating concept.
It absolutely is. And what makes it so compelling, I think, is that promise of like direct access to the past.
Right.
Think about no more just relying on, fragments, text, interpretations, secondhand stories. The idea of actually observing history unfold, that's, well, it's revolutionary, even if it sounds like pure sci-fi.
Totally. And the story behind this supposed invention is quite something. It centers around this figure, Father Pellegrino Ernetti. He was an Italian Benedictine monk who, maybe surprisingly, also claimed expertise in quantum physics.
Which is an interesting combination in itself.
Right. And back in the 1960s, he started talking about this secret project. He said he developed a device, supposedly with a team of scientists, some linked to the Vatican, and this device was the Chronovisor.
The 60s.
Yeah.
That was such a time of, well, technological optimism, wasn't it? The space race, computers starting to emerge.
Yeah, anything felt possible.
Exactly. So the idea of peering into the past, while still extraordinary, maybe didn't feel completely impossible to some people then. It kind of tapped into that anything can be achieved feeling.
Yeah, I see that. Now, the way this chronovisor supposedly worked, that's where it gets really fascinating. It wasn't about physically traveling through time.
No time machine involved.
No, and it wasn't even recording like a video camera. The idea was that every event, every sight, every sound leaves behind some kind of residual trace, like echoes.
Imprints, maybe.
Yeah, imprints, left in what Ernetti called a cosmic ether. So the chronovisor was supposedly designed to detect these super faint remnants, decode them, and then project them onto a screen.
So you'd literally be watching history, like a live broadcast from the past.
That was the claim. I mean, think about the implications of that, if it were real.
Oh, profound. It raises huge questions about, well, time itself, reality. If these ethereal imprints existed, what does that say about events? Do they ever truly disappear? It really challenges our normal linear view of time.
And the people supposedly involved, well, that initially added a layer of credibility, or at least intrigue. Ernetti claimed that Enrico Fermi, the Nobel laureate,
Huge name in physics.
right, and Wernher von Braun, the rocket scientist,
Another giant.
were part of this secret team. Now, these are monumental figures, but there's a rather significant snag.
Uh-oh. Let me guess. The timeline.
You got it. Enrico Fermi died in 1954.
Right. And the Chronovisor project was supposedly happening when?
The 1960s.
Exactly. Years after Fermi had passed away.
Okay. That's more than a snag, isn't it? It's a fundamental problem. If a key claimed collaborator couldn't possibly have been involved, it immediately makes you question the whole account. Seriously doubt Ernetti's story.
The credibility just takes a massive hit right there.
It does. And the proof that Ernetti offered, it was sensational stuff. He claimed to have not only witnessed, but actually photographed the crucifixion of Christ.
Wow. Okay. I mean, imagine having photographic proof of that event.
The impact would be unbelievable. He also said he'd watched a lost Roman play, Thyestes by Ennius, and even seen Napoleon. He wasn't vague. He gave specifics.
You can see the appeal, though. Getting direct evidence for these huge historical moments, religious events, it's incredibly alluring. For historians, believers, anyone curious, really, It would just change everything.
And for a time, there was this photograph going around, supposedly the one of the crucifixion. A blurry image, a face, looks like it's in agony.
Right, I think I know the one you mean.
But here's where the story really starts to unravel. That specific photograph, it was later identified. It's almost identical to a postcard.
A postcard?
Yeah, a postcard of a wood carving by an artist named Claude Valera.
Ah. So not a photograph from the Chronovisor capturing the actual event.
Not even close. It was a photo of an existing piece of art.
That exposure must have been a huge blow to the claims.
Oh, massive. It was a critical turning point. It pretty much debunked the most tangible piece of evidence and shifted the whole perception. It started looking less like science and more like something else.
Yeah, something far less convincing. A hoax, maybe?
It certainly pointed that way. And beyond that debunked photo, the lack of any other supporting evidence is, well, it's striking. There are no blueprints, no schematics for this amazing machine. Nothing technical ever surfaced.
You'd think something that revolutionary would leave some kind of paper trail, wouldn't you?
You'd think. and no independent confirmation. None of the other supposed scientists ever came forward, and people like Wernher von Braun, who Ernetti named, completely silent on the matter, never backed up the story.
That silence is pretty telling, isn't it? Especially from someone like von Braun. If he'd been involved in something like that, you might expect him to, well, say something eventually. Lack of corroboration is a huge red flag in science.
Absolutely. Verification, reproducibility, that's fundamental. And here, nothing.
Just Ernetti's word, essentially.
Pretty much. And as time went on, Father Ernetti apparently became more withdrawn, more reclusive. His story about the chronovisor reportedly became inconsistent.
The details started changing.
Seems like it. And then, before he died in 1994, he supposedly claimed that the device had been voluntarily dismantled.
Oh, dismantled? Why?
To prevent it from falling into the wrong hands or being misused. That was the reason given.
Which is convenient, isn't it? Explains why no one can find it or examine it now.
Very convenient. And there were even rumors, though unconfirmed, that on his deathbed he actually confessed the whole thing was a fabrication, a hoax.
A deathbed confession. We don't know for sure if that happened, but it fits the pattern of the story kind of collapsing.
It does. That shifting narrative, the convenient dismantling, the potential confession, it all just chips away at any remaining credibility. Saying you destroyed world-changing tech to protect humanity is a classic trope, but it doesn't prove it existed.
Right. It doesn't offer any actual evidence.
So when you boil it all down, what are you left with? The entire Chronovisor story seems to rest solely on Father Ernetti's assertions.
Assertions supported by debunked photos.
Exactly. And claims of collaboration that are unverifiable, or, in Fermi's case, chronologically impossible.
There's no tangible proof, no schematics, no peer-reviewed papers, no independent witnesses.
Yeah.
Nothing that would stand up to serious scientific scrutiny.
Nothing at all.
So, from a skeptical perspective, looking at the evidence, or lack thereof, the chronovisor seems much more likely to be, well, a fascinating story. Maybe a hoax, maybe something born from a very vivid imagination, or just wishful thinking.
Yeah, one of those possibilities seems far more probable than a functioning time viewer hidden away.
The absence of verifiable evidence is just overwhelming, really.
And yet, the story persists, doesn't it? Even though it's almost certainly just that, a story, a legend, the idea of a window to the past, it still holds this powerful grip on the imagination.
Oh, absolutely. It taps into something really fundamental, I think.
Yeah.
That deep human curiosity about where we came from, the desire to know for certain what really happened, to witness those moments that shaped everything.
We want the definitive answers.
Exactly. And history is often messy, contradictory, open to interpretation.
Yeah.
The idea of just seeing it directly, it offers this tempting shortcut to certainty, even if it's probably an illusion.
Yeah, that makes sense. So even if the chronovisor itself belongs firmly in the realm of, pseudoscience,
Which seems highly likely.
it still serves as this really interesting case study, doesn't it? About how extraordinary claims, really captivating stories, can take root and persist, even when there's no solid evidence behind them.
It definitely does. It makes you think about why we're so drawn to these kinds of mysteries, our desire to know the unknowable.
And maybe it also reminds us just how important critical thinking is when we encounter these really grand, amazing claims. You have to ask, where's the proof?
Absolutely. It's a fascinating example of narrative power. How a compelling story, even without factual basis, can endure and keep sparking discussion for decades. It really shows our fascination with rewriting or at least revisiting history.